This is Unit 3 of the Professional Nurse ADN 820. Objective 37, discuss the process of seeking a job. There are several steps to a job search process. First of all is a self-assessment. What are your career goals? Where do you want to be at in 5 years? And where do you want to be at 10 years professionally? You also need to look at your employment objective. In order to do that, you need to have a clear idea of who you are as a nurse, the skills you have as a nurse, and the environment in which you want to practice your skills. Do you want to be in acute care? Do you want to be in long-term care? Do you want to be in an ambulatory care setting? Do you want to be in a school setting? What is your employment objective? Then you need to have a job search strategy. How are you going to find the job you want? Are you going to use personal references? Are you going to look in the newspaper? Are you going to go online? Are you going to go to a large company and find out if they have any jobs? What's going to be your job search strategy? Then you need to devise a resume and a cover letter, and these are two of the most important marketing tools for a job search. It is very important that your resume and cover letter have no spelling or grammatical errors. Under your eCompanion site, there is an optimal resume reference available for you to help construct your resume. If you do get an interview, remember that your first impressions are very important. Usually most individuals will know if they will hire you within the first 2 minutes of meeting you and how well prepared you are. The more prepared you are for the interview, the more likely you'll get a job. And then it's the job offer. It's more than just you got the job. What are the salary? Are there negotiations? Negotiations on time off? Are you going to have to be on call? Those are all things to look at when you are seeking a job. Job search strategies include networking, just talking to colleagues about jobs that could potentially be available. Cold calls, and this is either calling or visiting potential employers to see if they have any employment opportunities. Field-specific listings like journals or newsletters, such as the Iowa Board of Nursing newsletter, or through journals through professional organizations in which you work through. Mass mailings, and this is where you send out a large number of resumes and cover letters to various agencies, hoping that you will get a call. Want ads would be newspapers or local websites. On-campus recruiting, we do have recruiting days here at Iowa Lakes Community College. Career fairs, there's often career fairs in the spring, right before spring graduation. Experimental learning, such as internships and preceptorships, and this is one of the reasons we offer a preceptorship with this last course. Resume referral services like careerbuilder.com or monster.com, and sometimes just by luck and chance. Objective 38 is construct a resume. Your resume should include contact information. Look at your email address. Is it professional? Would you want somebody to email you at that address and have it be a professional referral? Such as if your email address is chunkymonkey76, maybe you shouldn't be using that because that's not very professional. Your objective needs to be on your resume. What is your overall objective? Is it to gain an entry-level position? Is it to increase your skills? What is your objective? Your educational experience must be listed with your most recent education first. Work experience should be listed with your first job listed first. Now, if you're like me that's had several employments over the course of my working career, what I do is list the ones that are most recent and then the ones that are have a direct link to what I want to be doing. Such as my retail experience when I was in college really doesn't count anymore because it isn't really what I wanted to do as a nurse. Any honors or activities that you have, any skills, what makes you stand out, what are you skillful at. Certifications should be listed such as CPR, BLS, ACLS, CNA, if you're certified in an area of nursing. And then references should be listed on every resume. You should have personal and professional references listed. Objective 39, discuss the process of an application. When you apply, you need to write a resume and a cover letter, and you need to fill out a job application. And most of these job applications are now done online. The company then screens all of their job applications, and they're looking for specific criteria. So if you meet that criteria, you're more likely to get an interview. If you're screened and selected to be granted an interview, then the interview process occurs, and it may not just be initial interview. You may have to go back for a second or third interview. There may be employment tests that you have to pass, such as drug screen, also a dosage calculations employment test or medication knowledge, drug-specific classification knowledge tests that you may have to pass in order to get hired. The hiring process includes negotiations and also criminal background checks, federal background checks, and then there's a lot of new hire paperwork that must be done, including like your W-2s, retirement paperwork. All that must be done with a job acceptance, and it can be lengthy. Objective 40, employee interview principles. When you are in an interview, make sure you understand the subject matter that the interview will cover. Dress appropriately for the setting and the person you are interviewing. Always dress professionally when you're going to a nursing interview because of the fact that it is a profession. Have integrity and be honest with the purpose of the interview. Keep the purpose of the interview in the forefront in your mind. Follow directions provided. Keep your opinions to yourself. Make a conversational tone. Encourage free and open responses. Make every effort to give answers to all of the questions, and make sure you answer the question that's being asked. Be respectful and display tact. Be sensitive to cultural nuisances. Pay attention to accuracy and detail. Exhibit a real interest in the questions and practice good listening skills so that you can adequately answer those questions. Keep the interview on schedule, so make sure that you don't let the interview go over, because sometimes you can be dinged against that. Have questions ready to ask at the end of the interview. Show your appreciation by thanking the committee when you are finished using a handshake, and send a follow-up letter thanking the interviewer for allowing you to interview. How I would dress for a nursing job would be I would have just a moderate amount of makeup on. Basically, look at my dress appearance to a dress code. My fingernails, I wouldn't have any. I'd keep them very short. I would probably just wear one ring on my finger. Earrings be very minimal. I would probably wear my hair up. I would wear a skirt and a professional looking shirt, maybe a button down shirt with a scarf. Because when I get nervous, my throat area turns red. I would wear moderate heels. I would probably wear some sort of hose or tights, and I would sit with my ankles crossed, not crossed at my knees. I would make sure my hands are placed firmly in my lap, and when I walk into the interview, I would shake everybody's hand that is part of the interviewing committee and introduce myself. Objective 41, describe professional behaviors in the workplace. Professional behaviors by the nurse includes knowledge, which is central for maintaining patient safety and meeting expected outcomes. Remember, NCLEX ensures that the new nurse has just enough knowledge to be safe and competent. It's a minimal level of competency. Competency is maintained in the State Practice Act, and again, that's just a minimum set of competence. Minimally what we should meet. Obviously, as a nurse, we should always exceed the minimum and just not do the minimum. Your appearance should be professional. The client's first impression of the nurse is when they first walk into the door. So your uniform should be pressed, it should be well maintained, you should look put together. It supports credibility, it increases the likelihood of gaining trust of others. Teamwork is important for a nurse. We do a lot of collaboration with multiple team members, and all the team members are important to providing quality care, from the admissions clerk to the dietary aide to the CNA to the nurse to the physician to the nurse manager. That teamwork altogether promotes the best care experience from the patient. Integrity is the adherence to a strict moral or ethical code. As a nurse, we should have strict moral and ethics. A positive attitude, your individual attitude will affect everyone around you. So having a positive attitude will display professional behaviors in the workplace. And compassion. Awareness of and concern of other people's suffering is compassion. You as a nurse need to recognize the need and respond to that need appropriately to meet that need. In the workplace, we can have boundaries that can be crossed. So examples of some boundaries that can be crossed in the workplace setting include a breach of confidentiality, where you share with another nurse or with another individual confidential information about a patient. Substance abuse. Nurses are at high risk for substance abuse because of our increased stress load. It also increases the stress load of the nurses working around you if you are on some sort of abusive substance. It increases the risk of errors to the patient. The philosophy of many of the state boards of nursing now is if a nurse self-identifies that they are abusing substances, it's more of an interest in helping that individual than punishing them by losing their license. We want to help them through the rehabilitation process. Discrimination can also happen in the workplace. Sexual harassment can be an improper use of authority or intimidation to the patient. And we're going to be watching a video in class discussing how boundaries can be crossed in the workplace setting. Objective 43, discuss interventions nurses can utilize when boundaries are crossed. Communication and differing perceptions, open communication. Making assumptions is one of the worst things you can do as a nurse, especially if you're working with somebody and you are making assumptions about them. That can actually create problems. You may just not understand about everything that is going on. So if you feel there's an issue, make sure you approach that individual for themselves first before you go up your chain of command. Another intervention that can be used is the EAP program. It's the Employee Assistance Program. Most large facilities have an EAP program that can help nurses or their families adjust to difficult situations. There can be verbal or written warnings. Most facilities have a progressive discipline action that is done by the nurse leader. And if you are not the nurse leader, you can always report any potential worries about boundaries being crossed to your nursing supervisor. Objective 44 says evaluate the importance of work ethic. Work ethic is having a high value on hard work and diligence. A nurse that has good work ethic is focused at the task at hand and leave their personal problems at home. They get the job done right the first time and take responsibility for their mistakes. And a nurse that has good work ethic demonstrates self-discipline and self-control. This is something that many employers are looking for, is good work ethic. Wanting to be there, wanting to do a good job so that the patients are well cared for.